Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats, folks, for your daily live updates. Get the most out of today's episode by participating in the chat. Make sure you ask some questions, be part of the conversation, have a bit of fun, grab a coffee or a tea, take some notes, and get ready to start your day, folks. Quick few housekeeping rules, though. No spamming, no advertising or self-promotion in the chat. That's not on. Be kind and respectful to everyone when participating. And most of all, have a good time. Real estate investing can be your biggest asset. It also can be your most expensive asset when it comes to getting it right or getting it wrong, folks. It can be time-consuming, stressful, and that's why here at Positive, we have what's called a 6-star team, a full-service team that provides integrated wealth and property investing solutions and services simply designed to help you progress towards your goal of passive income through your property portfolio, folks. Make sure you check out our other podcasts on the Positive Mentor Network. Not only is there Wealth Coffee Chats, there's the Urban Property Investor. Drops every Wednesday with straight talking investing strategies and lessons with Sam Saggers. Property Investor Tales. This is where our clients, you guys, share real life stories from property investing, hosted by some of our advisors and strategists. And that's done every fortnight, dropping every Monday. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, that debriefs the week that was in the world of finance and property, hosted by yours truly, Jason Witten and Andy Fenton on Fridays. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chats. Marvellous Monday. Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are. If you think it's Get Rich Quick, you're in the wrong place. This is the wrong podcast. This is the wrong live for you. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Hope you're all awesome and well. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats. A few of you are already up and at it already, so welcome along. Good to see you here. Hopefully you're well, wherever you are. Morning, Kevin. Good to see you, mate. Thanks for joining, as always, up in the evening. Flying in all the way from Florida. Morning, mate. I do the quick intros as we get things warmed up this morning. Jason Witten's my name. If you didn't already know, now you do. There you go. Welcome along. Wealth Coffee Chats. We catch up each morning to converse, talk, keep on track with our property investing here in our morning conversation over a coffee, talking about a few things. We want to make sure we go the distance in this property investment idea. This thing each day, get together, hang out, talk about the fears, the facts, all things that we might need to consider when it comes to being a property investor. So that's a little bit about what we do. If you're new and you're hanging out with us today, say a quick hello. Give us a shout out in the chat. Be nice to hear from you. Hey, morning, Brendan. Out and about, mate, making it happen. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, Brendan. Making the world go round, mate. Big shout out to you and all of those who do that each day. Listen, last night we had our mentoring, which was pretty cool, and we saw some success stories about what some of our clients, you guys, have been able to achieve in some of the investments over the last little bit. And I thought we might talk about that this morning and have a bit of a conversation about the types and styles of deals that we might do, property deals, for capital growth. Pretty interesting when it comes to creating your portfolio, creating wealth. How do you put it together? What's the construction of our portfolio, and what types of deals might we want to put in there as we go along? So we might talk about that this morning because, a $489,000 investment turning into a $1.2 million bit of value in 10 years is not bad. We'd like to emulate that idea, wouldn't we, as property investors? I don't know about you. Let me know in the chat if you'd be keen on your property going up, $600,000 in a 10-year period. That's not bad. Not bad. How do you construct that? How do you put that together when it comes to our property portfolio? I thought we might have a bit of a chat, a bit of a conversation about that today. So that's what we're going to hang out and do. So give us a shout out in the chat if you're keen on understanding that. Let us know. but we're going to dive into it. What do we need to do? What do we need to understand as a property investor? Well, there's a few things. It's not just, hey, buy any old property and crack on. A few things we need to do, right, when we go. Number one, we got to have an amount, a dollar and a number of properties. Sometimes it's a combination of the two, a dollar amount, a number of properties, depending on which way you want to slice or dice it, that we want to invest in. Now, for most of us, we reverse engineer our passive income. What's our passive income? If I want $100,000, of passive income from my properties, if I had each property creating $25,000 in rent, then technically I would need 4 properties, and let's say they were worth $500,000 a pop, that'd be $2 million worth of real estate. All right. So that's the general gist of it. These days, those numbers are probably a little bit more, probably closer to 700 to 800 for a decent property. You might need 3 properties to get the 2 million. Your rent is probably a little bit higher, but that's the general gist of, putting together our conversation, right? Our idea, reverse engineering our strategy. And then, and stick with me, we'll get to the types of deals and sort of the results that we want to do as we have a bit of a chat this morning. Morning, Alison. Morning, Margaret. Morning, Brad. Good to see you. Hey, morning. Good to see you up and at it this morning. Thanks for joining, as always. So, we'll have a look at the dollars we might want. That might correlate with the number of properties. And then we, go and see the finance team. The finance team say, well, fantastic. You've got all these goals. Wonderful. But, you're limited with 2 things. You're limited with 2 things, folks. You're limited in the serviceability, which means your income, and buying power, which equals your deposits. All right. Okay. So we've got some ideas. We've got some goals. We've got a what would we say? We've got some aspirations when it comes to our world of property investing. We're aspiring to something. And then, so, what do we need to do now? So these are the sort of the general gist of it. How do we transform that into a strategy? How do we choose the types of properties we might need? And so on, right, as we go along. Okay. And see if we can't solve some of the challenges as we move forward with some of the types of properties we might invest in. Now, a few other things that we need to understand as investors when we go along. Now, how do we create income, folks? What are the levers we can pull when it comes to this stuff? Let's look at that. Put it in the chat for me right now. How do you improve your income? So what is your income? So how do you improve your income over time, or / serviceability, right? Now, this is an interesting one. If you can get pay rises, so any increase in your income allows you to borrow more. Any increase in your rents up allows you to borrow more. And really, at the end of the day, any reduce or eliminate, reduce expenses, right? And expenses might be, other debts and bits and pieces. So get your rents up, get your pay up, get your income up, reduce some expenses. Now, that's fabulous. It's certainly important as you go along. And it's only one part of the mechanism. Right. Now, this is kind of a long way around to get to this conversation about deposits. How do we create deposits, folks? What's the regular way? What's the hard way? What's the way everyone starts with their first deposit? Folks, put that in the chat for me. How do we get our first deposit? For most people, if we don't have someone else to give us the deposit. All right. Yep, exactly. Saving, Margaret, indeed. Yeah, Alison, that's the drill, right? So, it does. So, in the beginning, most of us, we've got, there's only a certain amount of resources, depending on
the industry we're in, depending on the career we're in, depending on, our life circumstances, depending on, it depends on the levers we can pull. So if we've got a career, we can, work more time, so we can exchange some more time for money. And I don't have any problem with exchanging time for money, as long as it's a limited process long term. And you're getting some of that time and money and putting into assets, exactly what you're doing, Alison. You can educate yourself, and then the time for money as you go along. Yeah, Brendan is like, yes, just earn more. You're dead right. So, but this is the thing. These are the kind of, if you boil it all down, folks, to the simple stuff, it's like, if you can earn more, you can borrow more. That doesn't mean you're going to be more successful. If you can reduce some of your expenses, you can borrow more, but that's only a finite improvement, which is fabulous. So you've got to take care of that stuff. And then how do we create deposits? Well, let's undo that. Everyone was talking about, everyone just sort of said it a minute ago. We, for deposits, most of us save. Okay. We go, and it takes time, right? Okay, it takes time. Earn more, save more, et cetera, which is fine. Now, you save up and you get your first investment. What do you want that to do? You've got your deposit. That's your first deposit in that deal. What do you want that property to do? You want that property to grow in value, and you want it to give you that deposit back. Give it back to me so I can invest again. Or you can continue to save and buy the second one, and so on. Right? Okay. Second, etc. So that's the quick general gist of our conversation for today. The idea is, all right, most of the time we have to sort of navigate the increasing in income for increasing our borrowing. That's kind of you as the person, the human, the individual, the couple, the team, the crew, whoever. And the other part is, once we save our first deposit, we want to choose our properties wisely. We want to choose our properties wisely for maximum growth, because that's going to give us the return on our deposits, right? So there you go. So anyway, that's the general gist. How do we then, choose where we invest, right? So right now that is Australia, by the way. You can all laugh about that if you like, but that's just my quick Australia map in there. And then you go, right, well, okay, fabulous. I get it, Jason. I get it, team, finance brokers, etc. I have my goal. I know what I want. I understand that I'm responsible for income and servicing. So I'll take care of that bit. I'll get my deposit. And then, you buy your first couple of properties. And that's why often people, in what we see is a lot of investors fail, and fail is not the right word. They give up probably fail. Yeah, that's right. I like that, Brendan. Solve more complex problems. You end up earning more dollars. I say this to my team all the time. I say this all the time to my team. I'm like, listen, folks, listen, team. The reason we have jobs at Positive is because there are problems that our customers need to solve, and they need us to help them with, right? Like if they didn't need us, what good would we be, right? Yep. We'd just be an expense and not an investment. So be an investment, not an expense. There you go. That's an interesting one. All right, cool. So, there you go. So, how do we choose this? So Australia, you think about, okay, well, we're thinking about the property clock, right? Like the clock, and where is the property clock for which state, which state? So we go, okay, we go which state, which city or location in that state, and what type of property. So we've got those three things. Which state? So if we were sitting here right now, folks, and we're going, all right, who's down with this? Who wants to sort of have a crack? What would we do it, folks? So So if you had a $80,000 or $100,000 deposit you've saved up, you maximized, you got your borrowing. Let's say your budget's sort of 700, 750. Where would you invest right now? What would you do? So there's probably a couple of choices that I would choose for growth right now. So for me, I would say which state? I would go number one. I would do Queensland. Why would I do Queensland? Because it's specifically Southeast Queensland. I would do that because the Olympics, population growth, and infrastructure are all pushing for the next decade, probably for the next 6 to 8 years. Okay. Now, the next couple of states, if your sort of budget is there, then I'd look at Perth, and then I'd look at Victoria or Melbourne. Okay. At this moment in time, if your budget's in that sort of way. So if you're sitting here going, all right, what would I do? Where would I invest? What city? Southeast Queensland, Melbourne, some of the growth corridors, and then you're probably going southwest in Perth. But anyway, that's the idea, right? So you go, I know the state, I got the city. What type of property would I invest in? Well, this is where, right now, if I was investing for growth, for return of my deposit, I would look at the house and land, or construction, land plus construction. Brad's a Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth guy, which is awesome, and I think Melbourne, certainly for price point, you can buy as like the same located quality property in Melbourne for $100,000 to $150,000 less right now. Melbourne's a super bargain purchase right now. It's undervalued for what it is. All of the political hoo-ha is just it'll come and go. Those people come and go, folks. But I'm with you, Brad. I like Melbourne. I'm investing in Melbourne. Nothing wrong with it. I'm investing in Brisbane. They're my two picks at the moment. I got myself a bit of New South Wales. I'm pretty happy with that. Sydney. Anyway, there you go. All right. So as we go. Yep, totally true. Like aspirational properties, third spaces, which is parks, which is beaches, which is other places, and desirable facilities. Love it, Alison. So, there you go. So if you've got a certain budget, certain style, what are you going to choose for growth? And this is the bibs and the bobs. And it's not one. There's not one thing that will sort of rule them all in this game. You go, oh, well, what do I do? How do I do it? All right, here's how I choose what I'm going to do. So, last night, we had a bit of a conversation. This is a general gist of the conversation that, Louise and some of her clients had, 10 years ago. This one purchased in Gregory Hills in Sydney, and Sam talked about these last night, so you can go and have a look at the mentoring. But this is fantastic. Check it out, right? Bought for $489, valuation today, in the sort of the $1.2 million range. Pretty sweet. A $780,000 gain in 10 years. So that's, $78,000 a year in value. Now that's not bad, is it? Not bad. You can't complain about that too much. Some people could complain. This is a really interesting thing, with those properties, a couple of years in, after it was completed and constructed and whatever, it's often the first 1 or 2 years is a bit rough with, newer property, just because there's other stuff being built around it. People complained about those properties. People sold. Now, I'm not judging, but, at the end of the day, I will make comment if you want to get the outcome, you got to stick with the. That was doubled up. You got to stick with the program, folks. You got to stick with the program. Nothing's bloody roses and sunshine every friggin' day, and especially when you're doing newer properties, in newer areas. Those things take a little bit of time to settle in. So anyway, I'll get a bit distracted. $400,000, $900,000, $500,000 of growth. 500 grand to $1 million, 500 grand of growth over 10 years. Wynnum just recently. This was only in 2020. So that's 4 years. 300 grand of growth. Again, another construction deal. $1 million. This was where the sort of this luxury, 5-bed, sub-luxury style of strategy can work. If you're buying power right now, if you've got buying power in that sort of world, then I think that's quite good. So if you had 4 to 5 investments that you could do, I would say I would go, for me, I'd sort of mix it up like this: 2 different states, okay, because you want to minimize your land tax, you want to have economic exposure. I would 100% have I would go sort of 2 houses, 2 different states. I'd go probably 2 units, and I'd furnish them, furniture, really close CBD, and maybe beach or something like that. 1 CBD, 1 beach, and then I'd have 1 townhouse. That's kind of that right size style of property. So folks, you don't have to overthink constructing a portfolio or getting this stuff sort of sorted and right when it comes to investing as you go. So if you want those sort of results and returns, like that, then how would you do it? What type of portfolio creation would you do? There you go. But anyway, right now, if you want, if you've got the serviceability, you've got the ability to service, and you want a type of deal that'll return your deposit fairly quickly, right now, my pick would be a land and construction anywhere in Southeast Queensland at any price point, would return your deposit plus an extra deposit for your next deal. So that's probably where I would go. All the types of deals that we have, apartments and townhouses and locations are amazing, but some work a little bit faster than others. But there you go. Anyway, hopefully that made sense. Thought I'd talk about sort of construction of a portfolio today and how we might, maximize that and understand, how to get the result that we want, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all hot air and sunshine unless you put it into action and actually buy an investment. I have a lot of people talking about being an investor, but they don't get off their butts and do it. Anyway, there you go, folks. That's it from me. Wealth Coffee Chat, done and dusted. Join us tomorrow for another one. The team, the crew, will be putting a little bit of something together. Tomorrow is Cass from Property Management. He'll be coming along and talking about all things property management. So if you want to pop on by, 8:10, he'll be dialing in for Wealth Coffee Chats. All right, folks, that's it from me. Remember, a couple of sayings around here: buy well, don't sell. Yep, this thing's a marathon, not a sprint. It takes time. All right, folks, that's it. I'm done. Adios. Good to see you. Bye-bye.
Episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Improve your portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10 each weekday. Make sure you join us. Previous episodes are also available wherever you get your podcast.